Hello and welcome to this session brought to you by the Academy of Practical Accounts in conjunction with your institution. In this session, we get a quick look at the facilities available for recording transactions regarding debtors. Now, debtors are customers to the business who buy on credit. Many small businesses do not sell on credit, and that is why we are not addressing this one. However, we are getting a quick look at the facilities available in case you sell on credit. Now remember, accessing these facilities is via the main menu up there. In number 5, we've got creditors facilities, and then number 6, we've got debtors facilities. The one at the top is a sales invoice, or now if we use it for recording a sales invoice or a debit note. Now, as far as recording is concerned, the impact of a debit note and an invoice to a debtor is the same. Then below here, we've got 41, Form 41 for recording a credit note, a sales credit note. Now, a credit note has got an opposite effect to an invoice. Now, let's change the orientation to see a little bit more. So we're still in debtors here. So we're looking at, that's a sales invoice, and this is a sales credit note. It reduces the amount owed by the debtor. Now remember, we can see a blank here simply because we have not entered any account for the debtor. Let's enter one very quickly. And this debtor, God, which name are we going to use here? Okay, which name should we use here? Let's assume the debtor is called Mary. Okay. Click on the device and then click Update Account. And when we go back to our recording form, and the name Mary now appears on the list, and apparently it's the only name on the list simply because now, well, in this alignment, we can't see all the other debtors simply because it's the only one there. It's the only one. So this is the credit note form. And then below that, we have got a form for recording a trade debtor payment. When a trade debtor paid, this is the form to use. Below that, we look at a trade debtor refund. Now, this trade debtor paid reduces the balance owed by the debtor. And then this refund should be paid to them in case they paid in excess of the debt, or alternatively, they returned the product after it had been paid for. Then form number 44 is for an unaccrued income reserve invoice. This is a little bit complicated for the non-accountant. Now at the year end, we've got credit incomes on credit that are not recorded properly and recorded temporarily on the income reserve account. Now, when the invoice is received in the new year, it is recorded properly using this form. And then 45 is for a fixed asset disposal on credit in case a fixed asset was sold on credit. 46 is when a debtor's check has been dishonored. The business receives a check from a debtor, but because the bank did not pay against that check, the check is got to be sent back and it's got to be recorded in that it reverses that payment that was recorded earlier on. Number 47 is for a bad debt written off. Now, of course, when you sell on credit, there is what they call credit checking, and of course, trying to ensure that you recover all the money for sales on credit. But unfortunately, at times some money is not recovered. So that is a bad debt. And if it's written off, if it has to be written off, this is the right form to use. Now, when a bad debt is written off, it increases the expenses, it reduces the profit. It doesn't directly reduce the sales, but it comes in as an expense and it reduces the profit. And then below here, we use this form to add or modify debtors. We already have Mary. You click 502 to add another data there. And then probably the last form here. Oh, we've got a form for recording a debtor's opening balance. Recording a debtor's opening balance at the start of the financial year. And this form gives us the ability to access both the creditor's ledger and the debtor's ledger up there and the general ledger below here. Now these two entries are in the general ledger and they complete double entry, and then that entry onto the debtor's control account is duplicated and made in the debtor's ledger. And this arrangement is aimed at automating the debtor's reconciliation. You just need to check to verify. You don't have to do it manually. And remember, there is a guide on each and every recording form. Let's scroll down. Now, CIS tax deducted. Now, this in the UK is what we call the Cost Construction Industry Scheme, whereby small businesses are contracted to do some work on behalf of big businesses. Now, those small businesses do invoice the big businesses, and by law, the big business, which is the contractor, is supposed to pay tax on whatever is paid to the small business. So if the invoice was maybe £50, 20% of that should be £10. So instead of paying the business an amount of 50, the business receives only 40 pounds, and the £10 is paid straight to the Revenue Authority. So out of a debt of 50, we receive the 40, the 10 goes to government, and it's recorded as a tax paid in advance. So this should be the form to use for that. And then finally we've got the debtor's previous year balance. In case there was a debtor's balance at the end of the previous financial year, and we need to compare that, then this is the form to use. Now let's see this previous year balance very quickly. Let's go to our mini reports. Let's go to this one. Click the wrong one, transaction list. No, we need, okay, let's go to the dashboard. We've got various ways of accessing information. So let's come to the balance sheet here. We need to see that column for previous year for comparison purposes. Now let's change our orientation to, let's rotate now to see more information. Now on this balance sheet, now let's look at trade creditors, because there's nothing against trade debtors. Trade creditors we haven't yet recorded. Yeah, so the balance against trade creditors at the end of the year is 30, and what is recorded using the previous year form should be displayed in that column. We're going to look at that very soon, and it gives us a position to compare the performance in the current against the previous financial year. So that brings us to the end of this session, where we looked at debtors facilities in module number 6. So we basically find recording forms. In case of any questions, please send us an email or find us on Skype at Accounts Coaching or Moses at DIY Tax Return. Thank you.